Penei Sewell or Jamar Chase? Jamar Chase or Penei Sewell? It's a debate a lot of Bengals fans have had over the past few months and will continue to have until the NFL draft later this month. Cincinnati has the 5th overall pick, and former Bengals first rounder, a wide receiver, Tim McGee, he sat down with Elise Jesse, one of my contributors at allbengals.com, and great stuff from Elise as always. Make sure you check out the full article, by the way, at allbengals.com. But Tim McGee shared his thoughts about what the Bengals should do with the 5th selection.
When you look at the draft, will they get substance or will they get shine? Substance is picking, an offensive line. I won't say which one because there's a couple good ones out there. Yeah. But or do you go with a receiver that can come in and shine and score some points and still make the coach look good and make him look like the next up and coming offensive coordinator. So if he loses his job, he can get another job as an OC. So these things when you're inside the game is what I think of. I think, okay, what's the play here? Are they trying to compete? Are they trying to compete at a top level? Or is this just a show of entertainment? And the draft, in my opinion, will basically tell you what they're really thinking.
I think that's a very good way of putting it, actually. And we've seen over the last couple of years with the Zach Taylor offense loves to throw the ball, loves Joe Burrow to throw the ball. So I would think that another addition in the wide receiver room would be good for him, especially now that they've lost AJ Green, not that they utilized him correctly anyways. But I think it could also go both ways. You either get a talented receiver from LSU or you look long-term at your offensive line. It seems as though ever since 2017, when Andrew Whitworth and Kevin Zeitler left, they've been trying to replace both of those guys. And Clint Bowling as well, when he retired in 2019. They've been trying to replace these guys, and they've been unsuccessful at it. So I wonder if with Riley Reif only signing a 1-year deal and also being in his 30s, I wonder if they go with an offensive lineman.
Again, let's go back to the substance. What's the goals here? What's the end road? Are you trying to win? Are you trying to build a championship team? When they had a healthy Joe Burrow, he wasn't winning. When they had a healthy Joe Burrow and Joe Mixon, they wasn't winning. If you want to be real about the situation, you still have a quarterback that everyone's making this assumption that he's going to be healthy. Healthy, there's two aspects of being healthy. There's a physical health and a mental health. And I don't mean the mental health that we talk about in normal society. I'm talking about the ability to block out the actions that are happening around your knees as you're stepping into your throw. As he's stepping into his throw, there's going to be bodies down by his ankles and his knees. And when you've experienced that traumatic episode that he has experienced, human nature is going to have you flinch or whatever, and that could cause a high throw or whatever. So again, I don't know if you're coming out the gate, if you'll see the same Joe Burrow. I hope so. I wish, I pray all that, but I just don't know. So we'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see.
I know that he's magical. I know that he can, make amazing plays on the run, and especially when the pocket collapses. But I just feel like a guy like Joe Burrow, the franchise face deserves a clean pocket.
Well, when you say clean pocket is a action that takes place on the field. Mm-hmm. Okay. In the prep of getting ready for a game, it is the coach's job to protect him. If you tell any young man to go back there and throw the ball 60 times, I don't give a damn what you're doing. There's not going to be clean pockets. It may be clean pockets half the time, 60% of the time, but you are setting him up for failure, physical abuse. You cannot throw the ball 60 times. You have to commit to the run. You have to force the run. And again, maybe the new offensive line coach coming in, maybe them getting a new offensive tackle, maybe them drafting a tackle, maybe that helps, but they must establish the run in order to give him the clean pocket. If they don't run the ball, if they get behind the ball games, it doesn't matter. You can put Tom Brady back there. It just does not matter.
Now with Frank Pollock, I know it's a new system. I don't know how Frank will I guess, voice to Zach Taylor the importance of running the ball. But I know that Frank worked very closely with Joe Mixon as well as the offensive line. And I believe that year, Joe Mixon had 8 touchdowns and over 1,000 yards. So I'm hoping that Frank Pollock is able to bring an influence that encourages running the ball a little bit more and keeping them from looking one-dimensional all year again.
Well, Frank coming here is definitely a positive. He breathes confidence from Joe Mixon to the offensive line to throughout the organization and even the fan base. So, yes, good news. No question about it. But do you have the horses that can do it? Remember, putting the product on the field, that's just one phase of it. They're still professionals on the other side.
Let's say that you're Joe Burrow going into the 2021 season. You're recovering mentally and physically from the gruesome injury that you just sustained. What would you want in the draft? Would you want another wide receiver, even though you have T. Higgins, a talented young receiver, and Tyler Boyd, a guy that you clicked with in 2020? Would you want another receiver from your college days, or would you want another addition to the offensive line to protect you?
I could make that Elise very easy. I would look down at my knee and go, I want a left tackle. Plain and simple.
Speaking of offensive tackles, I know Penei Sewell is the big guy, shiny tackle that everyone's looking at right now out of Oregon. And
that hadn't played in 2 years.
Yeah. The offensive line, class is pretty deep this year. But honestly, if I think about it, I question whether or not Duke Tobin is able to correctly evaluate offensive linemen, because it seems like their last few picks have not gone well in that area. But maybe you tell me.
But the proof is in the pudding. And, again, I say this as a joke, but I say if they don't draft an offensive lineman, they should draft a quarterback, because they're going to need multiple quarterbacks, because they're going to just be shuffling in and out of Christ Hospital or whatever hospital they're going to be going to, because they're going to get killed. The Duke Tobins of the world, don't overthink this draft. So, this is one of those. Last year was a no-brainer. You picked the best player, Joe Burrow. This year's a no-brainer. You pick the best offensive lineman that you need, fulfill that need, and then move on. So don't get fancy schmancy with trying to get a receiver. Hey, here's a receiver saying, don't draft a receiver. Trust me. Trust me. When I was drafted here, obviously we had Eddie Brown, who's the rookie of the year. Chris Collins was the Pro Bowl. But we had a formidable offensive line and a quarterback and so on and so forth. When you get to that point, you can start drafting as from in areas of not need, but you're just stacking your chips. Well, that's when you're good. The Bengals are not there. They need to draft an offensive line. They must draft an offensive line.
I am with you, but I think there are a lot of people who would disagree with both of us, because they think that LSU's Jamar Chase would be the better addition in the wide receiver room over an offensive lineman in the first round.
If you've watched the Bengals the last 2 years, they do not need another receiver over an offensive lineman. Don't get me wrong. And the receiver is not an area of need. It may be an area of want, but it's not an area of need. You need offensive linemen. There's this thing called book sense and common sense. Use the latter of the two and draft on that. Just use common sense that your franchise player, who happens to be a quarterback, the guy that's going to help you get a new stadium deal, needs to be protected. So you have one or two options. Draft a offensive lineman to protect him, or hire a security team. They're not going to let the security team on the field. So just draft the offensive lineman and just get this over with.
Tim, I love your honesty. You're one of my favorite people to interview about the Bengals, because you just don't hold back.
I love the Bengals, but I love honesty over that.
Plenty of great Bengals content is coming your way, so if you like what you saw, make sure you hit subscribe. Until next time, thank you so much for watching.